Today, I'm going to find out if this is a pentagonal square 1, so a pentagon 1. Honestly, I'm kind of skeptical. Just look at this thing. What even is this top layer? Now you might be thinking, what's the big deal? Can't we just slice a pentagonal prism using the same concept as a square 1? Well, actually, a true pentagon 1 cannot exist. I designed this model and it shows that no slice turns a line across the puzzle, effectively making it a fancy 1x1x3. If you mimic the pentagon 1 with special curved cuts, you get a prism which looks about right but doesn't have any geometric relationship to the square 1 series. The same applies to all odd-sided polygons such as the triangle and heptagon. I explained this in the Octagon 1 video I made earlier, and a few days later I saw this post by Akkei, my take on a pentagon 1 in response to cubes made easy. My first thought was, what? After I had a moment to collect myself, my second thought was, what? Oh boy, here we go. So the side faces actually look normal, but that top face has got something going on. Akkei explained that the corners are still twice as wide as the edges, which is correct, that's how I made the mock-up earlier. But now there's a ton of these small triangular pieces, which I've never seen before. It turns out the way you're actually supposed to visualize this supposed pentagon 1 is by pretending the little triangle pieces literally don't exist. Now it's starting to make sense. Like on a square 1 or hexagon 1 or octagon 1, you have one edge and two half corners per side. And if you make a slice turn without offsetting the layers, you get two corners opposite two edges, just like on a square 1. Okay, this is starting to get interesting. Maybe it's too easy to bait me with weird square 1s, but I asked Akkei if I could borrow his pentagon 1 to see what it's all about, and he kindly agreed. So now, I have to get out into the freezing cold and go to everyone's favorite place, New Jersey. Thankfully, it should be an easy trip because New Jersey is known for not having horrible traffic or crazy drivers.
What are you doing?
I do want to sincerely thank Akkei, whose real name is Jason, for letting me borrow his pentagon 1. He is genuinely a very talented designer, and if you've ever met him at a competition, you know he always brings crazy cubes like the 5x5, the Mega Minx, the 2x2x4. Okay, I'll stop before I have 3 separate communities angry at me. But do check out Akkei's incredible puzzles on his Instagram, or on his YouTube channel. I can't wait to see what he comes up with next. Is that a 4-dimensional 3x3? Anyway, I've acquired the pentagon 1, so let's get out of New Jersey as quickly as possible. Hopefully the trip back is uneventful. Yeah, right. If you want to keep seeing cool new puzzles, like and subscribe. I'm really excited to finally have the pentagon 1 here so that I can explore it, but I'm also kind of scared because I genuinely have no idea what to expect from this puzzle. I don't know to what extent it can actually shapeshift, and it's unclear to me how well the cuts are going to line up when it's all scrambled. Also, I have no clue how these small triangles are going to affect the solve. Jason did give me the option of leaving them unstickered, since that would be more true to his concept. But because they only have one color each, I'm hoping they won't be too annoying to get back into place. Anyway, let's take a closer look. The puzzle looks pretty nice. The outer faces are well polished, and I like the blue and purple shades Jason chose. The pentagon 1 was printed on a Dremel 3D 45. Yeah, Dremel, the same company that makes your rotary tool. I had no idea they also made a 3D printer. Looking at the mechanism confirms that the top and bottom circles are connected to the middle layer. The little triangular pieces are really thin, but I trust that they won't break because they were printed in a strong orientation. Okay, this is really random, but does anyone else think the mechanism looks like a Grecian tile? That was the first thing I noticed when I took this apart, and I just couldn't shake the thought. Anyway, let's start making some turns. I want to see what this pentagon 1 can do. So this would be the first turn towards scrambling the shape, the equivalent of this square 1 state. Can we make any other turns from this state? I see a few. We can do this, we can turn it this way, and there's actually a couple of other directions we can go in. So it looks like this pentagon 1 can probably fully scramble. But I just noticed something that's pretty massive. There's no trivial way to turn a set of pieces around like you can on a square 1. Let's say I want to bring these white pieces up, then over, and down on the other side. I can't do that on this Pentagon 1 because the slice cuts the puzzle asymmetrically. I think this aspect will actually significantly change how I have to solve the puzzle, and most Square 1 algorithms probably won't work at all. I want to try something now. I want to see if I can get all of the edges next to each other, because it'll look pretty cool and also because I think it'll help me solve the puzzle later. Slight change of plans. You can't actually get all of the edges next to each other on the Pentagon 1. I could have figured this out earlier if I had done some cube math, but this makes sense, and actually has nothing to do with the weird little triangles. It purely depends on the angles that the pieces are sliced into, and there are more normal Square 1 variations that also can't get all of the edges next to each other. This is a good example of what I was talking about earlier with the slice being asymmetrical. You can see that I can quite easily put this edge on the other face next to the cut line, which on a Square 1 would make me think, oh, okay, so I could just flip it around to here and bring it up and I'd have all of the edges together. But on this, because of the asymmetrical cut, a lot of pieces are only accessible next to the cut on one side, either on the small slice or on the big slice. And you can see that in this case, because of the puzzle's geometry, I can't actually bring this edge around to bring it up to all of the other edges. But anyway, when I figure out how to solve this Pentagon 1, I'm going to have to figure out a repeatable method of getting from this state back into the solved shape, so I'm interested to see how that's going to look. For the time being though, I'm just going to retrace my steps. Now that we've seen how Akkei's Pentagon 1 turns, let's answer the question, is this a true Pentagon 1? While it may look confusing at first glance, I think this puzzle applies the Square 1 concept to a pentagonal prism masterfully, with some strategic changes implemented to overcome the true Pentagon 1's geometric limitations. The Square 1 spirit is definitely in this. Is this as close as we can get to a functional true Pentagon 1? Maybe. I don't actually know. But I think that the concept of splitting the outer layer like this can certainly be explored further, maybe even becoming its own series of puzzles. For that reason, I'd personally choose a distinct name for this, or at least differentiate it in some way from the Pentagon 1. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree or have other thoughts. But no matter what, this is an extremely interesting puzzle, and I am very thankful to have had an opportunity to experience it. Now, let's finally take Akkei's Pentagon 1 outside and scramble it. This looks like a solid scramble. The puzzle looks absolutely insane like this. I will be solving Akkei's Pentagon 1 in a future video, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. But for now, that's all I have to say about this extremely fascinating puzzle. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye.